Hey everyone, Captain Amazing here, and today I want to talk about how secondary stats affect how I decide what mods to slice. So let's jump into it. So I see this question a lot. What about secondary stats? Like, how do secondary stats affect things? When should I use or worry about secondary stats? And I want to talk about it because I think it's important as you work your mods that we have an understanding of how secondary stats affect how I prioritize mod slicing. So most of my mods right now are low potential, and that's why they're unsliced because I've already worked them. But essentially, let's go to 6A or work 6 dots. Essentially, it's almost like a tier system for mods. So when you're working what mods should I work? And you can use this on any level as far as like gray, green, blue, purple, gold, 5 dots, 6 dots. There is a tier of prioritization. So if you watch my how to slice or how to make 25 speed mods, that foundation of that video is grounded in statistics. So if you follow those guides on what or that guide on what to slice, you're not going to go wrong. But there is other factors as far as like sets, primaries, secondary stats, and how do I prioritize those? So let's do it with my 6 dot mods here. So as you can see, I have my 6 dot mods here. These are the ones that don't have 5 hits on it. So if I was going to work these mods, I would first look at one, prioritization of the sets and the primaries. So like this one, a offense set with defense primary. It has good stats, it has good secondary stats, but the primary sucks. So this is a super low priority for me. So if I had some slicing material, I would not slice this one right now because I have the ability to slice these that have health with health percents or offense percent on a cross or offense arrow with good speed. So all those are good primaries and good sets for what I could use in my account. And then if you look at this defensive sets are pretty interchangeable with health. So if you have a health set, you can change it with defensive sets. It actually is better unless the character synergizes with health percent, like has protection up mechanics, courage mechanics, or some other like a Leia or something. So those you want just raw health, but defense is an excellent stat. So except unless if it's on a primary stats on defense suck. So if you look at these mods and you're like, okay, this one's pretty good too. 4 hits, 21 speed, health percent, protection percent, flat offense with an offense percent. So all these stats are good. And if you say like, well, Captain Amazing, what secondary stats are good? Essentially, health percent, protection percent, usually very solid. Defense percent, also very solid as a secondary stat. And then offense percent, if you can get it, always an amazing stat. So those are the stats that are, crit chance can be really useful too. Sometimes it's a waste, but a lot of times it's not. So percent stats in themselves are great. And if the stats synergize with the set, that's even better. But defensive stats that have offensive percentage stats are also very good because every character needs to survive, but not every offensive mod needs certain protection or health or whatever. Sometimes you do want to focus on stats that are just offensive based, but it essentially, as long as it's percent stats, for the most part, that's what you want. And then flat offense is also good. So let's find an example here of where it's not as much of a priority. So if I look at these mods and I'm like, okay, here, let's look at this. This is a good example. So this has 3 hits with 17 speed. 3 hits with 17 speed is very good. because it has the potential to be a 29 speed mod. But if you look at this as well, it has flat protection, flat offense, flat health. So I wouldn't prioritize slicing this mod as much as I would prioritize slicing something else that has much better percent stats like this, where it's like potency percent, crit chance, offense percent with 317 speed. So if I had to decide, okay, if these are the best mods in my account, am I going to slice this one that has all flat stats, or am I going to slice this one that has all percentage stats? So you have to look not only at the set, the primary, but the secondary stats, because if I slice this and it hits, you know, flat health, then that mod's still useless. But if I slice this one and it hits offense percent, then that mod is much better than what it was before. So that's why you have to, and here's another good one, 417 all flat stats. A horrible mod. Like, this is not horrible, it's okay, it's usable, it's on a Piet or something, but not a very good mod, not something to write home about. So this mod is not very good. Like, it's lukewarm. Honestly, if it wasn't, I probably sliced this before I even made my guide. It's a really old mod in my account, but it's garbage, like straight garbage, right? It's a diamond. It has four hits with only 17 speed. It's not very good. So if you're looking at what mods to prioritize, then you have to look at the entire mod and your entire mod inventory when you do them. And same thing as like this one, crit damage with a crit chance set. I would, if I wanted to, I would, even though it has flat stats, I still think this is a great mod. It's a hard to get stat, which is crit damage with decent speed on a set I don't farm very much. So this is still an excellent mod for me in my book, even though it's nothing to write home about. Would I slice it? No, but I did prioritize taking it to 6 dots because of the primary stat, and it has decent enough speed to work with. So that's what I'm saying. You have to look at the entirety of your mods, and where this plays into effect is when you're working your mods. If generally too, what I do is I work the highest potential mods first for speed. Even if it has flat stats or whatever, I don't care. I work those mods first. So if this was a 2 speed with like even 12 or 11 speed, which is, it's still possible to get a 12 speed mod. So if it was, then I would slice it 100% because it's a priority. But if it was 9 speed or 8 speed, so here let's look at this. So if 8 speed is like the lowest of the low, even if it hits a 5, it's not gonna reach the standard for me to take to 6 dots. So that's why I don't slice these 8 speeds. But if it was 9 speed, pretty good chance if it hits 5 or 6, then it's able to take to 6 dot. So that's why I slice all my 9s all in green, and in the blues I don't slice the 9s because I have a lot more of them, one. And then the prioritization of like how much mods I have to work, because I use all my slicing material every week. I run it down, but I focus on blue. Okay, if it has like a 10 or 11 speed, then I'm gonna slice it 100% usually, as long as it's 2 hits. If it's 3 hits 11, I'm not gonna hit that. But once I'm done hitting those and I'm like, okay, well I still want to work these 9s. I have a bunch of 9s. How am I going to prioritize what I'm going to work, because I have extra slicing material this week and I just want to work them. So what you do is you look at, okay, let's look at the sets and the primaries. If the sets and the primaries are good and the speed's good, then that could be something you prioritize. So you look and you're like, okay, well let's say I need a health square, right? So if I want a health square, let's see how many I have here. Let's go on not only unassigned, so I have a greater batch to work with. So health square. All right, so I have a health square here. I need a bunch of them. Let's sort by speed. All right, so these 3 hits 11, I don't want to work them because it's just not a good deal. They already have a really low average slice quality. So they're decent mods as far as I could still use them because they're 11 speed, but I'm not gonna want to slice them. So okay, I have no more 10s, two hits on 11. I have no 2 hits on 10s. Okay, so what am I gonna do here? I have this is what I need. I need a health square. So I'm gonna look at the percentage stats now because I'm looking. I've already identified that I needed the set. I needed the primary, which is a square. It doesn't really matter. So if I look at all these, which one has the most potential for me to slice if I wanted it? So if we look at these, like this one's okay, only has 1 flat stats. This one has 3 percentage stats. None of them are, let's imagine this is a 9 speed, but this has 3 percentage stats. This one has health and tenacity. So health with health already is a very good thing, and tenacity can be good. Like the defense is a throwaway, but 1 throwaway is not a bad idea. So same thing here, like health, potency, protection. This is a priority. This one has 2 hits on health, potency, and crit chance. So I would probably, if I wanted to slice this, then this one right here, because it already has 2 hits on health, would be my priority on what I would work. So it would be this one, and then I would probably prioritize this one that has health, tenacity, potency. And then thirdly, I would probably prioritize this one and then this one fourth because of the health percentage. So that's what I'm saying. When you look at these mods, you have to look at the entirety of the mod when you have the ability to work a bunch of them. So always slice high potential speed mods. Like those will always be useful. It could have the flattest stats in the world. It could be built like a board where it has flat health, flat defense, and flat protection. And then if it's a 30 speed mod or a 29 speed mod or a 28 speed mod or a 27 speed mod, it's a fantastic mod. You're going to want to use it. So don't throw away a speed mod because it doesn't have secondary stats. Continue to work those ones that have the highest potential. But once you're working with mid potential mods, because there's plenty of times where you have to work kind of something that isn't great, prioritize the secondary stats that are great with good pairings of primaries and sets is my best advice of how you manage these secondary stats when you're working your mods. And then try to prioritize ones that just make sense. Health percents with health stats. Offense percent with offense mods. So if it's speed could either be more defensive or more offense. So if it has like crit chance and offense percent, then hey, you probably want to give that to a more offensive character who wants a speed set. Or if it has a lot of survivability, then maybe you want to put that on a support that just wants to be fast. So that's how I prioritize my secondary stats and what I'm going to slice. It's kind of as a tiered system of focus on high potential mods, and then once you're working kind of mid potential mods, then focus on the sets you need, the primaries you need, and then between those focus on secondary stats that make the most sense for the mod in itself. So let me know in the comments if this helped you at all. I try to make define this concept because a lot of people have this question of like, what about secondary stats? So hopefully this helps you when you're working your mods on where you should put your resources. So I'll see you all next time. Take care.